going.
Let's cruise.
So real quick, ESL Atlantic Showdown. They made a change midway through the tournament, and Hulk here is definitely playing in that tournament. So they made a huge decision not to do one hero limit or switch it to one hero limit and then start using stopwatch. So we just talked about one hero limit. Obviously, they feel that one hero limit is the way to go with competitive Overwatch. But now let's talk about stopwatch. So was this a statement about format too, or was this just more of a practical thing where, I mean, the format before, or the scoring format before, was just so confusing that it'd be hard to just suddenly change it to a brand new format that we have to re-explain to the audience. So let's just go with stopwatch because the audience is basically trained to know what stopwatch is. Or is this an actual statement like stopwatch is the way to go, like kind of like one hero limit? What do you think?
I have no idea. I have no idea what Blizzard is going to ultimately end on.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised if they end up proposing something else, like perhaps time bank format for payload maps. I wouldn't hate that. I mean, time bank and stopwatch really have the same qualities to them, that it rewards how fast you go in a lot of ways. I certainly like stopwatch, but I wouldn't be surprised if Blizzard ends up somewhere else. But I think really this is a response directly to that ESL Atlantic Showdown qualifier. Those tournaments.
Oh, God.
I mean, how many matches on payload maps ended in draws time and time again? There were some matches that went on 2.5+ hours in a best of 5, and that's just not how the game should be. And like, in my opinion, this is a direct response to just how that tournament was unfolding, which was
to change a format mid tournament. That's a big deal. I mean, I know this tournament is like a month long, anyways, but still. It's a big deal to change it kind of midway through, and thankfully they did change it because those days, oh my God, Jason and D-Man, and they were so tired after some of those casts. It was kind of funny watching them at the end of them, actually. But it's definitely a good change. But we'll be curious to see what they decide in terms of format. Okay, moving on. Esports recap. All right, team news. So we did have a big team. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a huge organization, but in the Overwatch space, it was definitely one of the top, 5 teams, and actually recently one of the top 3 teams, you could say. But Gale Force dropped what is now Code 7, dropped that roster, and speculations as to what, I mean, maybe some folks know exactly, or I don't know, one of you guys know exactly what happened there, but it's pretty surprising because Code 7 is one of the hottest teams. I mean, obviously not beating Envyus, but beating almost everybody else, especially this week. So Gale Force, dropping a hot team, that's pretty surprising. So it kind of makes me think that it's just a money issue, just a disagreement on I guess how much you're worth.
It's going to be really tough for Gale Force to find a better team than that. I don't think there is a better team than that's not sponsored right now. So it kind of seems like they've made a mistake, man. I think so. Letting that team go.
They decided to drop the team, or did the team?
I have no idea.
So. Yeah, I mean, it could either way, right? I mean, even if they decided to drop them, I guess they could have dropped them just because maybe there's better opportunities they know of, like coming. But you think it would have happened pretty quickly. I guess they're still taking some time. Anyways, I
mean, I guess
surprising.
We don't know what
we
don't know what their situation is, so it's kind of hard to speculate.
It at least looked like they only had a 3-month contract because I think they were only with Gale Force for about 3 months. So it's definitely good to sign shorter contracts, and then renegotiate some good ones. I don't know, Hulk, what's your thoughts on that? Just as team right now, is it good to sign like a 6-month, 12-month? I mean, what do you think is good?
Depends. When you sign with Envyus, you can sign longer, I guess. But,
right.
No, I mean, the general thoughts from many teams or many players has always been the game is pretty young and was pretty young in the beta.
Yeah.
That you kind of want to go for like short contracts, but then again, it really depends on get offered where you land.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, you don't just want to straight off the bat like sign a 2-year.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's still pretty early, right? I mean, we still don't know Blizzard's grand plans for esports, and I mean, maybe some of the teams actually know some of it, but at least publicly, we haven't seen the just the blueprint for it yet. So still might be a little early to sign like super long-term contracts. Okay,
I will say I do know TSM is looking for a team.
Yeah, that's true.
G2 is notably absent after picking up a team really early. Like there's probably like 5 or 6 mainstream esports teams that are actively trying to find a team right now. So I'm sure this Code 7 squad.
There's a big reason why those teams didn't sign any team. But
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
You have to find your tongue now.
I'm just
Interesting.
teasing.
Interesting. Okay, well, why don't we move on to some events? It's obviously a lot of events going on. Almost too many events, to be honest, but we'll save that discussion for another week. But of course, the early in the week ESL Atlantic Showdown's been going on, just pretty much beginning of both weeks. NA was this past week, and right now is the European bracket, right? I believe that's going on this week. And it's going to feed into Gamescom, obviously, in a couple weeks or maybe 3 weeks from now. Actually, Ben, you wanna kind of run us through some of the event news here?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chris, there's just so many events going on. There's the Ghost of Gamers Weeklies, there's Beyond the Summit, which just happened. We have Beat It, we have the Acer Cup, we have the ESL qualifiers. We just have so many tournaments, so I don't think we should bore the audience with all of the results.
Yeah.
I think the thing to keep in mind is that the ESL Atlantic Showdown qualifiers, these are qualifiers for qualifiers. This isn't even actually for the main thing.
Right.
But we do have our first 8 teams in, and I think actually they've been playing today and yesterday as well, so probably a couple more as well. But in NA, you've got Envy, Northern Gaming Red, Luminosity, Cloud9. No surprise, any of those teams really qualifying, except for Code 7's really not in there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Europe, you've got Misfits, SG1, Anox, and Reunited. A little bit bigger surprises there. You don't see Creation hasn't qualified yet, for instance. A couple other teams still looking to qualify, but this is pretty much the longest standing, longest running, most legitimate tournament that we've seen so far in the game. Obviously, with prize pool, it's for the 100K tournament at Gamescom, but also just in all the qualifications and how the fact that all the qualifiers are open. Pretty cool stuff. I'm really glad to see that from ESL. It's really great for the community to have these open tournaments like that. And we're getting closer to figure out who's qualified for the main qualifiers. So still lots more to happen there. But the main storylines for me this weekend is Code 7 takes second in the Beyond the Summit Overwatch Cup, beating Cloud9 3-1. Envy won, but whatever. They keep winning everything.
They win everything.
Whatever. Like, we don't have to talk about it.
But actually, Code 7 then went on to beat Cloud9 again, either 1 or 2 days after that. So, don't want to take anything away from Code 7, but Cloud9 finally looking a little bit more human, a little bit more beatable. They've lost to teams like LG. Now they've lost to Code 7 twice. And Code 7, man, they are on an absolute tear, looking completely dominant. In the mid-tier of teams and the high tier of teams, and making a name for themselves. It couldn't come at a better time, obviously, as they've just separated from Gale Force. So major props to the TJO bros, Harblue, that whole team. They've just they've really stepped up to the plate, and they've played well in the past, so it's not like a huge shock or surprise to see them playing well again. But really impressive performance this last week from those guys.
Yeah, Harblue actually had a really hot week. Like a couple of those events, he was just like crushing it.
That Roadhog, man.
Yeah, that Roadhog on a few of those matches were just amazing, or at least a few of those maps, and it was really a big part. Like you said, TJO guys have just been solid the whole time. So I felt like Harblue's play kind of stood out a little bit more in terms of just being different than some other weeks. And Cloud9, yeah, they're just. Like last week, I think a lot of people just kind of wrote it off with, they've been gone for a while, just not practicing, and, the format change back to a single hero limit. But this is like the second week now. We've kind of seen Cloud9, and I still think that they're trying to adjust to the single hero limit. Like, they still haven't figured out, just even internally, like what everybody should be doing. And you kind of see it in the results. A lot of it, I don't want to single people out, but I think that sometimes it has to do with just, Reaver having a good game or not. I think Surefour is pretty steady for the most part, but Reaver, if he has a so-so game, they end up losing, and if he has just a solid game, they end up winning. Against teams like Code 7. So anyways, they're still trying.
Another thing that actually stood out to me.
Yeah,
I want to call it out.
Yeah,
is the most disgusting defense I've ever seen
Oh
on
my,
Dorado.
let's beat it.
Ever.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Hulk, have some mercy, man.
Was that a joke,
the
dude?
hell happened? in the Beat It
Did
qualifier-
y'all
or the
like
Beat It tournament?
plan on doing that, or was that troll or not? Was that
That's
actually?
just
No.
mean.
What happened was like this week we came up. We used to have like payload maps, like full payload maps, like Dorado, Gibraltar. It's pretty cool, or it used to be pretty cool on defense. On Gibraltar, it's way harder to make work, but to stand with your team right in front of their spawn, pretty much, and engage in a fight. And we usually had a Symmetra with us, and the pretty much the goal of the fight was like, even if we lose the fight, we have our Symmetra, like let's say on Dorado, gain enough ultimate charge, so we stop the payload for, let's say, 30 seconds, we fight, we lose, but our Symmetra either survives or dies, but has ultimate charge, runs back to the marketplace, and we have enough time to hold the marketplace anywhere where teams would just retreat and let us push for free, but we get our TP up. So I'm not even sure if we attack first, but usually our attack is pretty solid on most maps, or we're in a good place right now, so that we would make time, usually time 4 to 5 minutes or something, and just having one fight in the front, keeping them from pushing the payload for like 30 seconds, which ended up the whole game. But it just gives you another time to, like, other teams would just free push pretty much to the marketplace, but we can still fight in the marketplace after we respawn even. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
And we just use our pretty much cough comp that we use in King of the Hill, and practice it a bit, and it's pretty good if you coordinate it.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean,
Guys, if
basically,
you don't know,
worked
if you don't know what I'm
okay.
talking about, what was this?
it was Dorado.
Was it
It was beat it. It was beat it yesterday. The finals, they
Sunday?
beat it.
It was
Yeah.
Beat It finals. It was Envyus versus Code 7, and
Was it the
Envyus.
finals? I forgot if it was the finals or not.
It was more than a
Yeah, it was
pub
fine.
stomp.
Yeah.
You've seen pub stomps where teams will like camp near the spawn point. I've never seen anything like this. Like, as soon as Code 7 was leaving the doors on Dorado, they would just all get instantly wiped. It was disgusting.
Timing was like killing people in spawn.
I
and
know,
stuff.
right?
Like,
Exactly.
every single death blossom, you'd get like 3 or 4 people. It was
Oh,
terrifying.
He had a couple kills in spawn. Yeah, definitely with that.
Well,
with the
Chris,
Reaper.
actually, I think this is a decent segue. I know we're supposed to talk to Joe about Asia next, but why don't we just talk about Envious a little bit?
Yeah, with Hulk. So Hulk, I mean, you guys have just been the best team now for, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I think just like, it might even be more, but definitely, I think hands down, nobody can even argue that you guys have been the best team in Overwatch for that long. How much of it has to do with you guys just coming over here and moving into the house and being able to practice just all together? Everybody keeps mentioning that in the cast, so I want to ask you how much of it has to do with that.
I'm not sure. Obviously it always helps, but I think it helps us more in terms of, I guess everyone of us kind of really wanted to move over to America, and Envyus is supporting us really great, which I guess makes us happier in life, kind of, if that makes sense. But like the practice regime didn't change too much. Obviously, like it's really easy for us to use programs like PlaySTV or something, and then after scrims I can go over, and we don't need to send out links. We can just walk to their place and say like, hey, watch over my game, and then we watch. Or in the gaming house, like right now we moved to our own apartments. We're still like neighbors and roommates. We live in 2x2 apartments, so like 2 players together, and we have 3 apartments. But in the gaming house where we were for 4 weeks, we watched like cup VODs after, let's say, I think right when we moved over to NA in the gaming house, we played Cloud9 in the Alienware, like the same day, and we haven't even practiced with Tailspin from Europe, like 1 day maybe or something. So we were in practice as a team. But so then we lost super close against Cloud9, but it actually helped. We all went to the living room and watched all our games on the big screen and analyzed and stuff. So that definitely helps. But I think the biggest part is actually us being, because I think we played 8 hours before in our old lineup, and Europe. I think that's good. But yeah, like everything outside, nice for us. So I think that's a big part too.
What part? What do you think that? How do you think your actual team right now, in terms of just strategy and even just skill level, in terms of all the characters, differs from the other teams right now? Like, do you feel like you guys are just, I've always thought you guys were more versatile, just even individually, particularly yourself. Like, I think you're the epitome of somebody who can literally play all kinds of characters and switch depending on what strategy works the best. And that allows you guys to like try out, adjust and adapt to other teams and be successful that way. How much of it has to do with that?
So, okay, in other games I used to always like be that kind of player that thinks highly of himself or like thinks only about his own skill.
Yeah.
Like in Overwatch, I always like try to stay away from it because like for me, like my motto right now is just pretty much teamwork makes the dream work. So I really don't think about our individual strengths, even though, well, I guess for my teammates, I mean, to me it's pretty obvious that Tailsman right now is the best Pharah player, and he's super good on McCree and different characters as well. And all of my teammates are kind of, I mean, it's probably easy to say that every one of us has one or two characters where they're probably top 3 at least in the world, I'd say. I don't know about like Asian scene, but I think being as high up as we are right now, and even if it's just like my Winston or something, a good Winston or something, but I think our strength is pretty much team play, I guess, and I think that's pretty much our core. Like we switched, I think, 4 to 5 different offense players since beta phase 1.
Right.
We've always been on top, kind of. So I think our probably mindset and team play is what kind of separates us from. Because like you see other players like Shofer, he's pretty good. He's pretty insane player, right? Like he's an insane. Even like I don't know. I respect so many players, and it's really easy to see. Like I think for me also good supports, but mostly it's easy for everyone to see good DPS players in other teams. There's even, I mean, like you said, Hablu did really well. I mean, LG has crazy good players. Like so many teams have really good players, but so it has to have something to do with team. Also, it's a 6v6. In other team games like 5v5, it's even more dependent on team chemistry, motivation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you personally have a history in Overwatch of winning, right? Because it's not just this Envy team. It's going back to the previous IDDQD squad that you were all part of, with Mendo and Tvik as your main DPS players. And even before that, I have a VOD of you guys on my YouTube channel, Hulktastic Mix versus Maidong, which is a funny mix back in one of the early tournaments. So you had this kind of core of yourself, Harry Hook, and Coco for now a long time.
And Chips Hine.
Sorry?
And Chips Hine. We are.
Yeah. Was he playing? Yeah. Was he Sanchez in that tournament or something?
Oh no, he probably like.
Okay.
Hulktastic Mix wasn't like a big team. That was pretty much my attempt to build a team, and we tested like 15 people. So we had to play cups, and we had to see who's there. And I just came up with that crazy name. So.
Yeah. So I guess my question is like, how did you guys originally come together? I mean, you mentioned that you're primarily a League of Legends player in your past. Like, did you guys know each other beforehand?
No. So, I pretty much knew a lot of good players from different games, from a variety of games, but not so those games. Like in beta, many people came from TF2 and Quake background. That was pretty much full of 90% of beta players. So I didn't know those players, but I started off with some players who had rank 1s in World of Warcraft and stuff, but no one really ended up liking this game too much or putting in the effort to become good, or they just weren't as good. So I really had to like start networking and put every effort in getting. So Harry Hook is actually funny. I just literally saw him playing public a lot, and I was like nerding this game super hard, and he played Mercy. But honestly, it's so hard to like I guess understand it. But I really saw him being super good on Mercy. Like to me it was pretty clear, and so I just got into contact with him. He was in the Spanish team, but he recontacted me after his team disbanded. He was in the team with Bromas and Ringhaven from Reunited and yeah, I mean the other two was actually through a Reddit thread, which is kinda something.
No way.
Yeah. It's kinda like
what?
Wow. I mean, yeah, it was just like
we did it
for
right.
me. Yeah,
we did
it, Reddit. For me, it was a long shot. Like, I'm actually one of those players who go like, oh my god, no way I will ever write something on Reddit, Overwatch, looking for team. I'm too good for that. Like many people think like this, but I actually said like, well, nothing bad can come out of it, right? And then I got contacted by a person who was trying to set up his own team with Chips and Coco, and I just steered Chips and Coco pretty away from him.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was pretty random, but to be fair, I also had contact with many other good people in top European teams right now at that time, but it's just like pretty much Harry, Coco, and Chips personally really grown me, I guess, and we just I don't know, it worked pretty well.
And to follow up on that, obviously with IDQD, you had Taimu on the roster for a while. It was the team that went, 55-0 for a phase in the closed beta. Obviously, you have good teamwork, good chemistry. What do you attribute your success to beyond just building that core roster? I mean, is it the sheer number of hours of practice? Are you practicing in a very focused way? Like, why do you think you guys have become the best team on the planet? And you've already been the best team on the planet once, and now you're doing it a second time.
I mean, I think personally a lot of it comes to team chemistry and also like keeping a clear head. I really think like in esport in generally, or maybe even in real sports, like the good teams, like they can just like crush someone 3-0, but the great teams, they can come back from like maybe 0-2 and like regain momentum. And I feel like we don't really have any tilt issues. I mean, maybe slight ones, but like the core of us always kept a cool head and tries to be like super professional. Also, yeah, during beta we had a lot of our success contribute to our practice schedule, I think, and we were one of the only European teams back then to also practice against North teams, and a lot. I mean, we even practiced against Korean teams twice. It's a bit harder to set up, and they weren't really that good back then, so that's why we didn't continue, but I'm sure we will in the future. So yeah, I think practice schedule, mostly it's really team chemistry, because yeah, I hear it from many people from other teams. They have also our communication. I think communication is key. I think we have pretty good communication when it comes to the game, and
Yeah. What's your practice schedule like now? Like how many hours a week?
Right this week we changed from 8 going down to 6 hours for a different reason. It's like I'm the only one who actually wants to practice 8 hours, but then it's like the reasons behind it are pretty good, because if we are practicing 8 hours and our best strategies involve me all the time on Winston, but I'm the flex player, eventually I have to switch to a soldier or tracer or something, or reaper. I might as well can use 2 additional hours to practice in ranked or something, spamming those characters where I actually can improve my. And also we, it's the same for a Reinhardt player or both support players.
Okay.
So, but we will see in the future. Maybe we go back to 8. It's actually
awesome.
Yeah. You're a machine, dude.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, thanks for the background there. I think we want to talk to Doa a little bit about Korea, but I do have a final question for you. Who is whose roommate out of the 3 apartments?
I know the answer to this.
Tailspin was my roommate, but he moved back home because of family stuff. So I'm alone right now. Yeah, I'm alone right now. Time when Harry Hook. Yeah, Time when Harry Hook and Chips and Coco.
Okay.
Got it.
Good deal. All right. Well, yeah. Why don't we have Doa? You're obviously over there in Korea, and
I am.
We don't get a chance to watch too much, Asian Overwatch or Korean Overwatch, and honestly, like I've been reading your articles and seeing your tweets in terms of just just how Overwatch has been doing at the PC bungs and things like that. So why don't you give us a quick update, I guess, on how Overwatch is going over in Korea, as well as maybe an update on the whole Woong's team, because I know that article you wrote just a few weeks ago was a great article.
Well, it's a really cool situation. I guess I'll just talk about Overwatch in general briefly first, but the game just is insanely big in Korea right now, and I can really only speak to Korea because that's where I live and that's the scene I know. I don't have as much about other Asian regions. I know it's getting very big in China, but as far as Korea specifically, the game is massive. It overtook League of Legends in PC Bang rankings really quickly, and people might not realize why that's important, but in Korea, games are mostly played in internet cafes. It's kind of rare to actually have a home PC that you play on. Generally, people get together in this because kids can avoid their parents making them do homework all the time. You can play for like the equivalent of about $1 an hour, so it's really cheap. You don't have to buy an expensive PC. You can just play one that's already great. So what game is big in a PC bong and on that ratings is really what game is big in Korea overall. So the fact that it overtook League after League had held the top spot for something like 402 weeks, something like a huge amount of time was very surprising. I didn't think it would happen that quick, and I didn't think as big of a gap that's been created would be creative. But it's a good start. It's a really good start for the game in general right now.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about League of Legends and PC Bongs being first by a lot. I mean, like, what was the percentage of between first and second before Overwatch came around?
I think League was something like 30+% ahead of the second place one,
Right.
which generally was Sudden Attack. And now Overwatch is something like, on the average day, 6 to 8% above League, I think, last time I checked.
Yeah.
So it's a massive transition, and like when I tweet about that stuff, people think, oh well, he's just like crapping on League and all that, and that's not what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm not trying to be like, oh look how crappy League is. I know, obviously, I love League of Legends. Exactly, I love League. I still cast, you know, like a dozen games of League of Legends a week, you know, and it's still a great game. This is important because if you look at it objectively, it's the first major shift in competitive gaming in Korea in the last 4 years. That's why it's important, and that's why I tweet about it, not to like take a dump on League, because I don't want to do that. I like League of Legends. But it is really interesting to see the game be so successful so soon. Teams are starting to pop up. Woong has his teams, and if you're unfamiliar with who Woong is, he was a very famous League of Legends player back in 2012 through 2013. His team, CJ Frost, that he created. Well, at the time they were Maximum Impact Gaming Frost, and they became Azubu Frost, then CJ Frost. But they took second place at Worlds Season 2 against a Taiwanese team, and were very dominant in the Korean scene early on. So he started a couple Overwatch teams, just some players that he thought were good. They weren't really known per se, but he thought they had potential. So he owns a house. They all moved in there, and they all made an agreement together to essentially give up everything else in life and become Overwatch monks. And they practice from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. every single day. And that's not an exaggeration. That's just what they do. I've been to the team house. I've seen it myself.
11 a.m. to 4 a.m.? Oh my god.
11 a.m. to 4 a.m. every day. They scrim at their sister teams. So you've got Meg Frost and Blaze again. He just used the same names, which
Right, of
I think
course.
it's kind of silly, but whatever. But yeah, they just scrim against each other. And that way they can kind of keep their strategies secret too. They practice a little bit with the other teams, but not that much, you know? And they've gone from being regarded as pretty bad to now, lately, they've become like the best two teams in Korea. So the practice is definitely paying off.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane to actually... I posted the link in chat just a second ago with the graph of PC Bong ratings in Korea. And it's totally crazy because it's not just League that's like tumbling down as Overwatch goes up. It's every other game too. Mm-hmm. Overwatch is eating market share from literally every other game in Korea, and it's the biggest game in PC Bongs now. And you know, it's maybe slightly unfair because League of Legends free to play, whatever. But you know, obviously you have to pay for Overwatch, so I guess there's a little bit of an extra incentive.
Actually,
but...
I mean, you don't have to pay for Overwatch in a PC Bong. You pay,
right, exactly.
Like you do pay like an extra 20 cents an hour to play it, but whatever, who cares,
That's
right?
not much.
And it's absolutely insane. I never expected this, ever.
Yeah. Here's one interesting thing, though. I thought it would be competitive with League. I didn't think it would overtake it this fast. But one thing that's important to note with Overwatch being free in PC Bongs is that it doesn't necessarily give it a big inherent advantage over League because of that. Because in PC Bongs in Korea, League of Legends has all champions unlocked when you play. So League is essentially free as well, in terms that you don't have to buy any champions if you play it in PC Bongs. So they're kind of on the same ground there. People like to say, oh, well, I mean, you know, League is free and Overwatch, you know, Overwatch has this extra discount, right? So that's why people are playing instead of League, because they don't have to buy the champions. Well, you don't have to buy the champions either if you play League, so they're kind of even up on that one too.
So who's running all these tournaments in Korea right now? I mean, is there an equivalent to like the Gosu Gamer Cups that we see for NA and EU?
There's various online streaming platforms like Africa that are running tournaments. Inven is a huge gaming website in Korea that they're streaming some stuff on too. Yep, Twitch I know is getting involved as well. Right now, the biggest tournament in Asia is a tournament called Nexus Cup, and it's China versus Korea. And right now, Mig Frost is already in the finals. They crushed IG, which is a pretty famous Chinese organization in other games like League of Legends, Dota. But they crushed them. I watched them in the winners finals match, so they're in the finals. And now IG is playing UW Artisan, which is the formerly best Korean team before Frost got really good. And so I would imagine it's probably going to be a Korea versus Korea finals in this tournament. And that's kind of the biggest thing going right now until other tournaments may happen to come up in the future.
May come up with some organization that somebody might be working for.
You never know. You never know.
So there is activity. Is there a LAN finals for this, or is it all online? Or
I don't know. I think this one's online. I'm not 100% sure. The finals are on the 17th, and just given the logistical issues, because it is China versus Korea, it's been online up until this point. And I think it is for the finals too. But hey, if it's two Korean teams, maybe they will do it in some live studio setting.
Is there a ping disadvantage between China, or like a huge one?
I don't think there'd be a very big one. No, it's not like going from NA to Korea. Like NA to Korea or vice versa is pretty big, but like China to Korea, since we're talking about probably like Shanghai, Beijing, probably isn't too bad.
It'd be like across the U.S. type of thing, I guess, like distance-wise.
Yeah. I would guess maybe you'd be dealing with like 60, 70 ping, perhaps.
Okay. Not too bad.
So, I mean, what's the word on the street out there? Like, what's the sense you're getting? I mean, obviously it's huge in PC bongs, and I think that's pretty indicative of where the game's going to go. Like, do you know if like the big leagues are going to try to pick it up? Like, are the big existing esports teams courting the top teams? Like, what is your expectations for the game in Korea? Because, you know, coming from a Western standpoint, we certainly expect that Korea is going to show up and take, or at least try to take our lunch money pretty soon. They have a big deficit to make up. But if they're practicing 15 hours a day, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I think right now, obviously, the teams in NA and EU are better, but I don't think they're. I think if you look at the top Korean teams, like if you look at Mig Frost in the state they're at right now, and UW Artisan, they can be competitive, and it really is the fact that these guys just like practice way more than anybody else that gives them that edge, and that's what's always kind of given Korea the edge, right? Is that they just simply practice more than anybody else, you know, and they don't kind of take vacations really.
They don't have a life outside of it. Let's just be honest.
That's the thing.
They don't have.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because they're really, really good at these games, but they're also, you know, they don't have a social life. There are negatives to this too. So I think Korea could dial it back a little bit. Personally, I don't think it's good for these kids to be playing as much as they are. But there is no doubt that it certainly does produce like the best gamers ever. So,
So how far away do you think we'll see basic invitations to Hulk and Envyus to come over there and play in a LAN invitational? Because we've seen it. I mean, I've seen it in other games where whether it's a Chinese event or even a Korean event, you know, OGN in particular, you know, having these big events just to pit, you know, just best teams from one side of the world against, you know, what they have in Korea.
I think it would be great to see something like that. And OGN did do that back in League of Legends. I mean, you know, CLG EU took second in one of the Seasons of Champions way back in 2012. So there is precedent. I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Okay. Well, that's definitely good. Yeah, I think, you know, whether it's this year, I'm thinking next year for sure. There'll be, you know, when Blizzard's, I think, announces whatever they're going to be doing, we'll see the regions come together for just a global championship, right, at BlizzCon. This year, obviously, probably a little late for that, but there could be still some kind of cool event though at BlizzCon that involves.
I'm sure there'll be something cool.
Yeah, something that will involve that at BlizzCon. So maybe that's the first time we'll see just all the regions kind of come together in some type of event. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Hulk? I mean, do you have a lot of experience with just the Korean scene, or you know, do you even bother paying any attention to it right now, given that, well, you know,
I'm not a classic FPS player, so I actually come from League, and before that I played SC2, so I actually respect them a lot. And I mean, honestly, it goes for me as well, but like, I just respect work ethic a lot, and I'm not really like I don't really fear them, but I fear like their work ethic, and if they outwork us, then they eventually become better, I guess.
Well,
Well,
I mean, I
such a
think
big
obviously you guys are
right
putting
now.
in a lot of work right now too,
Yeah.
with the results you've been getting.
But like when I hear this, I want to work harder. You know what I mean? Like you just have to.
It's cool. That's great, man.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I think that's about all the time we've got, just at least for the topics. I figured we'd save a little bit of time for some Q&A for Hulk and Doa here. So if you have any questions, why don't you put them in the Twitch chat today instead of tweeting them to me? Actually, let me see if anybody tweeted. A lot of folks are just used to doing that. In the meantime, tweet your questions in Twitch chat, and we'll ask them. And let's see, what is this?
For the record, I do want to say too that I think when we do have those first international competitions, I think NAEU is probably still going to take him. I think it's going to take like a year.
Oh,
at
yeah.
least.
Yeah.
And EU
here's the
are
thing.
miles ahead of Asia right now.
I would love to see a hugely popular esport where the Koreans don't dominate. Like I mean, it's nice.
Yes.
It's nice for me being in the Korean scene and getting to cast, the best players in StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1 and League of Legends. But I've always wanted, a more global sort of level of competition where, you really didn't know who was going to win Worlds. Where in League, a Korean team's going to win Worlds.
I mean, historically, just at least in the recent history, the most successful esports have been the ones that have started here in NA or in Europe, and they've had dominant teams in the very beginning, and then the Koreans kind of came back. League of Legends, CS:GO, Dota, even Dota, right? I mean, so it's. I think that's a trend that we've seen.
Dota is kind of funny because Korea doesn't even have a server anymore. They closed down the Korean Dota 2 server.
Really?
Yeah, they closed it down a while ago.
Wow.
And the Korean teams and that one, MVP, right? They're still winning.
They're still good.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
They're still really good.
It's the work ethic, man. I mean, people talk about the infrastructure, they only play on 4-ping and all that, but really it is they just play so much more than everybody else.
All right. Tisk24 has a question for Hulk. Who's your favorite hero to play in a tourney?
In a tournament?
Yeah, just favorite. It doesn't have to be best or anything.
Probably Winston, because
of course.
Yeah. I'm so effective, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Winston or Reaper, I guess, are those characters I actually play.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. Jumping on a Mercy is like probably the best thing anyone can do, and that he's the best at doing that. So good right now. People are asking. A couple people have asked already, Doa, if there's an English cast for these Korean tournaments. Dude, you got to get on this, man. Just do it. Just find a way, make it happen.
In between my League of Legends and Hearthstone and everything else that I'm doing, I'll try to squeeze.
Come on, Eric.
I'll try to squeeze something in.
You got this.
He's on our show. Isn't that enough?
I'll put it on the list.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Zinga asked, or Jay Zinky asked, where's Shade? Oh, Shade's in the process of moving right now. That's why she wasn't able to make it tonight, guys.
I see one question that I can answer.
Yeah,
real
go
quick.
for it.
Somebody asked, is Keguri on any pro Korean Overwatch teams? That's one of the really good female players we have here in Korea, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And right. she is. She's on UW Artisan, which is in the losers finals for that tournament that I was just talking about, the Nexus Cup. So there's a really good chance that she'll be in the finals playing against Mig Frost.
Was she the Zarya player?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Keguri and Akaros are the two girl players on Artisan.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this is Acer asking, personally I feel like ultimates charge too fast, have too much impact. Any opinions on that? I would just give that to Hulk.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, especially Mercy on live server has that problem where she charges way too fast. I think it depends on the hero completely. I feel like Lucius ulti doesn't change fast enough maybe, or super balanced, while Mercy charges too fast. It really depends on the hero, but yeah, certainly some.
But in general, not too fast overall.
Only on a few characters. Mercy Corbion charges really fast, yeah. But in general, I think it's fine.
Okay, let's see. Here's one that's more for a catch. So Craw Cook asked, what do you think about single hero limit from a casual competitive player? How is picking a hero phase going to look like Should there be drafts? Oh, okay, yeah. So I guess what do we see in the future for like whenever there will be more and more heroes? Actually, here's another question too. It's just, do you see Overwatch getting to the point where there are 60 or 50, 60, 70, 80 heroes, or do you think it'll always be at a smaller number than, say, like a League of Legends?
I don't know, 2-3 years from now, absolutely. Why not? I don't see Blizzard. I think Blizzard is going to support this game for the next 5 to 10 years, given how well the sales have gone.
Well, I don't think it's so much of a support as much as it is just even difficulties to design. Like,
I mean, I think so too, but I'm not so sure there's going to be as many heroes as in like your standard MOBA. I kind of see Overwatch more as like a fighting game where you have your stock, group of heroes, and you don't really want to change it because it changes the game too much when you add something. So I actually hope they don't release that many heroes. I'd rather see new maps and new game modes, personally.
Okay. Hulk, what do you think?
I feel like Overwatch can use like maybe 10 more heroes in the next 2 years or something, like slowly, but don't go up to like 100 or something.
Yeah.
Like if you have 30, 40 or something, if the game is here for like 2, 3, 4 years or something.
Yeah. And I guess getting back to Crawl Cook's question, do you think drafting here, hero drafting and bans and things like that is a Overwatch thing, or no?
I hope not. I don't think there's any need for bans or drafts in Overwatch. I think one of the beautiful things about the game is that you can play whatever you want and you can change to whatever you want at any time. And that's really where the depth of strategy in Overwatch is changing your composition on the fly and not being limited in doing that. So yeah, I don't think there's ever going to be a place for a draft or a ban phase in Overwatch. I hope not.
Okay, let's see. Last question. What do you think about ranked games ending in ties? Or we didn't talk about much ranked, but we'll definitely touch on ranked mode next week, guys. Given that's a very long discussion too. But just I guess to answer this question, ranked modes ending in ties, that's always terrible. I mean, I don't think anybody likes ties, period, in anything. So
doesn't matter. Getting fixed.
Yeah, it's getting fixed, so it doesn't matter.
Never seen it, always won.
Exactly. All right, I guess that's going to be it, guys. So why don't we do some shout-outs? Pleasure having you on, Hulk. Thanks a lot for, I know I cut in a little bit into your scrim time, so really, really appreciate that. You want to do some shout-outs? You want to do some shout-outs?
Shout-out to Envyus. First of all, to my teammates, Chips Hyen, Tailspin, Taimu, Coco, and Harry Hook. They're all amazing, and without them, obviously, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be living the dream right now. And I'm just like 1/6 of my team for our success. So thanks to them. Shout out to Envyus and all our sponsors, Monster FX, Zoe, Scuff Gaming, Illegado, and NZXT. And I guess thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone who tuned in and everyone who's rooting for Envyus. I know I've heard people saying, even in the IDDQD days, it's pretty boring to watch you win and stuff, but I mean, we're trying our best here, and
Hey, it's not your fault it's boring. It's everybody. It's all the other team's fault that it's boring right now. So,
exactly.
I can't really.
I was pretty entertained by your absolute merciless slaughter of Code 7. I was glued.
I was a little bit scared by it. I had trouble sleeping. Please don't do that again.
Today in scrims, they asked us to take them out for dinner next time before we play them.
One thing we did forget to mention during all that is that Code 7 even GG'd early in that game because of what happened there.
I would too, man. I wouldn't have lasted as long as they did.
Yeah, so that was pretty amazing, and it's nice to see also, Hulk, that somebody that actually knows how to plug their sponsors too. So kudos for that. Doa, thanks for coming on the show too. Obviously first time, and you're across the world, so and I know you have a full-time job too, being a caster and everything. So thank you for coming on the show and hanging out with us a little bit.
My pleasure, man. It's fun. Yeah. Do I get to do shout-outs
Yeah, of
too?
course. Any shout-outs you want to do?
Okay. Yeah. I just want to shout out to my great co-casters here at OGN because they're awesome, and so we built something great here, and we appreciate it whenever anyone watches our stuff. And so just keep watching OGN. We have the best League of Legends cast, that's for sure. And we may even there might even be something with Overwatch coming someday. Who knows? Might happen.
Who knows? You probably do. But you won't tell us.
I plead the fifth, whatever that means.
Plead the fifth. All right, Ben.
Great show. Thanks for coming on, guys. Thanks everyone who's watching. Make sure to hit the follow button here.
Yeah.
We're trying out a slightly different or very different time slot this week. I think it actually works better for most of us. We might actually just stick with it.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think about the different time. It's about 6-7 hours later than we did it previously. So let us know what you think, and yeah, we'll see you in game. And plenty of tournaments to watch, man. There's so much going on. Definitely go watch the ESL qualifiers. They're going to be continuing, and I think that's going to be the super hype fun thing to be watching over the next month or so leading into Gamescom. So stay tuned to that. Oh yeah, and go subscribe to the competitive Overwatch subreddit if you haven't already. It's a little bit more focused on the competitive side of things as well as esports, if that tickles your fancy. So
yeah,
it is really great.
Yeah, while we're waiting for esports to make some kind of segue in the main our Overwatch subreddit, we're definitely competitive. Overwatch is the place to absolutely be for just all the latest news and everything. So definitely check that out. Thanks to the three of you guys for doing the show with me. Obviously, it's a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoy it. Thanks for all the viewers for watching, and for those of you that like to listen to the show and maybe miss some of the show, this show will be available on iTunes and Google Music Podcast. So definitely, go get on your phone, check it out. Leave 5-star ratings if you enjoy the show too, because it really, really helps other folks find the show too. The VODs will be available by tomorrow morning. I probably won't get it up tonight since nobody's going to be up anyways. So I'll have it ready for you guys in the morning. You can check that out, youtube.com/ChanManV, as well as all the other past episodes too if you missed any. And yeah, that's going to be it, though, guys. So for InternetHulk, Kadoa, Fishstix, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.